Hi, welcome to the 7th Multi-Party Seminar. We are very pleased to organize the seminar in partnership with the University of Chile. And as you can see, we'll be discussing how internationalization is shaping teaching and learning English in higher education institutions. And unfortunately, my slides are not moving. Let me just go somewhere else. Anyway, having problems with the slides, I'm going to go on and with the presentation and sort the slides later. So for the ones who are attending the multi-party seminars for the first time, I let you know that these seminars are all bilingual or multilingual. Today, for example, we are having oral presentations in one language, slides in a second language, and subtitles in a third one. So, when interacting with us via the chat or during the discussion, please feel free to use any of these three languages. Our guests for today's seminar are Carla Janaína Figueiredo from the Federal University of Goiás. And then we have three colleagues from the University of Chile, Ludmila Kalasnikova, Alicia Solomoni, who unfortunately could not be present today, but she's being represented by Ludmila. We also have Natalia Tranquino from the University of Chile. And from the University of Costa Rica, we have Randall Blanco. Their presentations will be followed by an open discussion, but please feel free to send questions and comments via the chat during their talks. I was going to contextualize this seminar for you before the talks, but because of the problems with my slides, I'm going to jump to the first presentation, and then at the end, before the discussion, I'll do that contextualization, but that I think will be useful for us to have for the discussions. So, and maybe one thing I need to share with you before we start is that we have asked all our guests to consider 4 questions in their talks. We thought that that would be a really nice way of ensuring a closer dialogue between the different presentations. So we have asked them to describe the institutional context in which they currently teach English. Also to explain how English is integrated into their teaching environment, meaning as a subject, as a medium of instruction, etc. Also, we would like to know which factors have influenced the development of the English language provision in their context. Was it policy? Was it student needs? Was it internationalization, as examples? And lastly, we asked them for their perspective on what are the main benefits and the challenges of this approach for learners, teachers, and the institution. Yeah. So moving on to the first presentation, who is Dr. Carla Janaína Figueiredo. I'll introduce her to you. Dr. Carla Janaína is a member of the Faculty of Letters at Federal University of Goiás. She did her doctoral studies in linguistic studies at UFG, Federal University of Goiás, and she concluded her postdoctoral studies in linguistics education at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada. She teaches in the Department of Foreign Languages, and her research involves language, society, culture in teaching, with an emphasis on intercultural dialogues in teaching, in language teaching lessons. Okay, so over to you, Carla Janaina. Thank you.
Oh, hello, everyone. Good afternoon to everyone. I'd like to start by thanking Professor Ana Beatriz for this invitation. It's a pleasure for me to meet you all here. Yeah, it's a very special moment for me. And I'd like to share some of my experiences with teaching English to a very different area from language teaching, which is statistics. So I'm going to share. Julia, I'd like to know, okay, you're the one to share the slides, right? Okay, thank you. So the title is Statistics Goes International at UFG, How the English Language Has Been Shaping the Stats Field, or em Brazilian Português, a internacionalização da estatística na UFG, como a língua inglesa tem moldado o campo da probabilidade ou da estatística, which is the same. Okay. So a little bit about my context. Well, the Federal University of Goiás is a public university, and it offers many and diverse course programs. One of them is statistics. So the subject English for statistics is the one I teach to the undergraduates, of statistics. So it's a 4-year program, and they study all the areas concerning the statistics field. And they have this subject, which is taught now in English, as a medium of instruction. And it's all about the concepts, the most important concepts of the statistics field. Well, here we have, my agenda, which is very simple, just 3 topics, right? Yes, I'll talk a little bit about the process of internationalization and the challenges of, concerning this process at the Federal University of Goiás. Okay. Yeah. So, firstly, this subject is started being offered in 2010, and it was taught in Brazilian Portuguese. It emphasized reading strategies, and it had a different name. At that time, it was called English for Specific Purposes, and it was taught in the evening. And at that time, I didn't have many students, young students. Most of my students already had a degree, for example, in mathematics or physics, and they were there just to get a new degree in statistics. That was the context. But then in 2019, all the curriculum was changed. And just a minute here, it's because of my battery, sorry. And so in 2019, the curriculum was updated. The program was transformed into a full day program. And consequently, we started receiving younger students, right? Students who had just finished high school. And so that changed all the audience we used to have, and consequently the profile of the course. So we started in 2019 offering the subject English for Statistics. So we had to adapt everything to this new curriculum. So we also changed the name of the subject. And okay, Julia. So how did I integrate this subject into the program of statistics? Yeah. Well, to start with, it's a mandatory subject, so all the students have to do it. It has 64-hour workload, and it's offered in their first year. Okay. And I teach in English, but of course, sometimes it's necessary to switch to Brazilian Portuguese when necessary, right? And from 2019 onwards, I've been noticing that students have become more engaged with the contents, yeah, because the contents are specific of their area, of their field, and they've become more engaged, more participative, and more motivated because they see the relationship between their content, yeah, the content is studied with their professional area. As we can see here in the following slides, a few examples of topics that they study throughout the semester, the term. The history of statistics, who is this professional, who is this statistician, and another one here, the next one, probability, ethical guidelines. So just a few examples of themes and topics they study throughout the term. Okay, so one of the questions, yes, Professor Ana Beatriz asked me was which elements have influenced this change in the statistics program? Well, first of all, the policies of internationalization at UFG. So the university has been, tracing this path recently and encouraging the professors to develop teaching and not only undergraduate programs but graduate programs, and also promoting international connections, right, in which the university, the institution can connect with this international scenario. And so the demands for an international program, that supports the student body in their academic and professional careers in Brazil or out of Brazil, and also the needs for an updated curriculum aligned with the 21st century global challenges. Okay. All right. So English for statistics and its contributions to this process of internationalization at UFG. Okay, so for learners, I believe that the most significant contribution is the integration into the stats field through the English language, right? And also the upskilling in their professional career, because not only they can study their contents by means of English through the English language, but they can also interact, yes, with other speakers from different institutions, international ones, or even here in Brazil. And so that I believe that the use of English has been shaping not only their undergraduate program, but also their academic and professional career, yeah, with interactions and connections with different stats fields. And also contributions for the university itself. I believe that the discipline English for Statistics has opened channels to dialogue with foreign institutions and their student body, and mutual institutional collaboration. That is what we expect. Okay. And here we see two examples of work done by the undergraduates when they read academic articles and they present these studies orally by means of English. Yeah, and these are very interesting and new topics for them. Yeah, and we learn, we share lots of things, and it's very interesting. Okay, so challenges that we face now and challenges ahead. Well, first of all, we've been, trying to encourage undergraduates to actively take part in educational exchange programs abroad for 6 months or 1 year. It's not an easy task. It's been difficult to find a partnership with other institutions. Not only in South America, but in other regions, and also equip students with continuous English language experiences related to the academic and scientific context. Yeah. We tend to encourage them to participate in more international academic events and publications as well, and also establish connections with foreign institutions so that we can also have foreign students in our program. So these I consider the most challenging aspects of our program. And so this is all. Thank you so much, obrigada, for listening to me and for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Carla Janaína. And I think the example you gave is really interesting in the sense of illustrating how different departments can develop partnerships in view of internationalization and equipping with the students with the appropriate language for their specific programs and subjects. So thank you very much. I move on then to Ludmila. She'll be the next presenter. So as you can see on the screen, Ludmila Kalesnikova is the EMI Program Coordinator at the Online Education Office under the Vice Presidency of Information Technologies at the University of Chile. She holds a Master's of Education from Universidade de Daugavpils in Latvia and a Master's of Applied Linguistics from the University of Southampton, England. There's a misspelling there. In her current role, she's responsible for developing and implementing professional teacher training courses related to the internationalization of curriculum. Her research interests include EMI, methodology and didactics, and the role of English as a lingua franca in higher education, and the design of the EMI teacher professional development programs. So I pass over to Ludmila. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much for this introduction, Anna Beatrice. So I will share my presentation. All right. So thank you very much for having me. As Ana Beatriz introduced, I work at Universidad de Chile, and I'm responsible for the EMI program. And today I would like to share with you a program that we have been developing since 2020 and try to answer the three key questions. Why, how, and what is next? Before we proceed, I would like to just a quick reminder of a definition of an English medium of instruction, so what it is. The definition provided by Macari is the use of an English language to teach academic subjects other than English itself in countries or jurisdictions where the first language of a majority of population is not English. So in our words, we are focusing on teaching subject content, not language, and teaching is delivered to a multicultural and multilingual cohort of students. So why EMI? Why it is important? EMI is a global phenomenon and it's a crucial part of internationalization process of academia, and it's also a crucial part of internationalization process at Universidad de Chile. So why? So I would like to share some of initiatives that we have implemented to support internationalization process in terms of teachers and students. So in 2015, Universidad de Chile started to internationalization project with a focus on PhD programs. In 2016, the English program was created to support linguistic skills of a student. In 2018, we have developed an EOL platform, so it's online education platform that allows our students to take part in online international education, so internationalization at home. And in 2020, we became part of a UPRU program. So it's a virtual student mobility program for the Pacific Rim universities, where our students could take classes through English. So as you see, the current 4 initiatives are focused on students. So, but when we think about EMI and EMI classroom, we need to think of 2 key agents, and they are EMI academics and EMI students. So we divide EMI academics into national and international, and also EMI students, international or international. So national we define as Chilean teachers and students. So, but currently in the EMI program, we focus on the national teachers. So how can we support academics at Universidad de Chile to transition smoothly and effectively from a Spanish medium to the English medium instruction? But the key question is, are they ready to teach through English? So, and this is why we started to think how we can create a program that supports our teachers to transition into English medium of instruction. So now, how? So what have we done? So the EMI program supports the 3 main components. So we are focusing on the 3 main also challenges in the EMI, such as language proficiency, intercultural awareness, and pedagogical competence. So when we think about EMI and EMI classroom, we need to ensure that our teachers who are not native English speakers feel prepared and feel supported in teaching and in this transitioning, and that they would not implement EMI in a trial and error fashion. So in this way, we talk about what English proficiency our EMI teachers should develop. So we talk about also alternatives. We introduce concept of global Englishes and English as lingua franca. We also talk about intercultural awareness, so how to work in international setting, how to work with colleagues from all over the world. And we also talk about pedagogical competence. So how to adapt your teaching strategies to meet the needs of multicultural and multilingual audience, or in our words, a global classroom. And to respond to these 3 challenges by using also as components of key pillars of our program, we have developed 3 initiatives. And the first initiative, it's a creation of EMI Teacher Professional Development course in 2020. Later on, we addressed the need of bilingual education through CLIL, and with collaboration of Heidelberg University, we are also delivering CLIL course for teachers at tertiary education who would like to use 2 languages in their teaching. And in 2026, we have established EMI Community of Practice to create a place for our lecturers to share their experiences and also discuss challenges. So now I would like to talk a little bit more detail about the EMI course and EMI community of practice. So the main objectives is to create a course to strengthen our lecturers' capabilities and expand their skills teaching the subject through English. And we have the three main objectives. So the first one is to investigate the implementation and expansion of EMI at global and local level. So the purpose of this part is to introduce what internationalization process is and why do we need to implement EMI. The second objective is to develop an awareness of linguistic diversity and variation within EMI. So again, we are focusing on linguistic proficiency of our lecturers. And we talk about, do they need to sound as a native like to be able to teach through English? And the last but not least, we recommend pedagogical strategies suitable for the EMI classroom. So we share different tips how teaching approaches can be and should be adapted for a global classroom, such as assessment techniques, also moving from teacher-centered to student-centered approach. And we are focusing on the flipped classroom approach in our course. And here are the more details about the structure of the course. So it's a blended learning course, and it's positioned on the EOL platform that belongs to Universidad de Chile, and all the materials are available online, and we meet on a weekly basis via Zoom. So the duration in 9 weeks, so 46 hours of independent learning or autonomous learning, and 8 hours of discussion. And the entry requirements, we ask our participants to have 1 year of teaching at tertiary level. And I think the most important part that we do not require our participants to show English proficiency certificate. And here's a little bit of a content. So what we do is, of course, divided into 2 parts. So the first part, we call it a what part. So it's a theoretical part. And here we explain, we introduce the world of EMI to our participants. And the second part is a how part. So here we are focusing on a practical application. So how to teach my subject for English, and we explore different teaching strategies, how to boost interaction and discussion in a global classroom, how we can adapt materials to move from local to a global perspectives, how to assess and provide feedback to our international students. And at the end of a course, our teachers, our participants, and also teachers need to create a short video recording of them teaching the subject for English. So a really short video between 3 or 4 minutes to experience the global classroom, to have. So it's similar to a simulation. So just for them, to put them in those shoes of EMI practitioners. And here are some photos of our participants, some of the rounds. So at the end, we give certificates. So we celebrate the achievement and we recognize the effort and hard work to finish the course. Another initiative what we have, it's EMI community of practice that the purpose of is to foster collaboration, reflective practice, and peer learning. And also we have 3 main objectives for this initiative. So the first one is to facilitate ongoing EMI professional development through collaborative analysis, research, and reflection. So we think the course is not enough. We need to provide opportunities for them to discuss their practices even after the course. Also, the second objective is to establish a friendly, safe, and supportive environment for nurturing existing relationship and build new connections. So the idea is that we want our participants to feel comfortable sharing their experiences, and also ask support and able to learn from each other, and also build new connections for future collaborative projects in EMI. And the last one is to build opportunities for open two-way communication between lecturers and university managers and decision makers. So to ensure that the hard work of our teachers is recognized by decision makers, and also to expand and raise awareness what EMI is and how much work is incorporated in transitioning from a Spanish medium to an English medium of instruction. And here's a little bit about the structure. So we are meeting once a month for 1 hour and 30 minutes. We do it online or hybrid, depends on location of a presenter. And we cover different topics, and for example, as intercultural awareness, flipped classroom approach, digital tools, cultural diversity. And I will use today's opportunity to share the upcoming workshop. So we will have a presenter from our a different university, but we are collaborating with, and he will talk about bridging admin gaps between North and South research collaboration. So he will share his experiences working with his colleagues from United States of America, and how to negotiate the admin differences, such as communication, time zones, and etc. So you can use this QR code to scan to register if you are interested in attending this workshop. It's free and available for everyone. And again, I would like to share some of the photos of our meetings. So as I mentioned, some of the workshops happening in hybrid. So we have people online, but we also have in-person attendance. So far we have been doing the free initiatives, the EMI course, also once a year a CLIL course, and this EMI workshops. But the idea is what is next? So, and in the next slide, I would like to reflect about the steps, how we could implement training and raising awareness about English as a medium of instruction. And the first step, I think it's very crucial to raise awareness, to share historical background and characteristics and impact and global relevance of EMI. So also to discuss linguistic and pedagogical competencies needed for teaching for EMI, and to share available institutional support and pedagogical guidelines available at university. And this can be done through short introductory workshops about EMI. So currently we're also doing such workshops at different faculties within Universidad de Chile and outside Universidad de Chile, and to introduce and to explain the importance of EMI. The second step, I think it's important to provide training as a professional development training for all future and current EMI practitioners to raise also awareness that a global classroom requires adaptation. Yeah, there are a lot of differences now because we are working with students from all over the world who are multilingual, multicultural, and come from various educational backgrounds. And Also, education now is through a foreign language. So majority of the students will be non-native English speakers. So the teachers should be aware and prepared for the reality of an EMI classroom. The next step, I think it would be great to implement application of the learned skills from the training. So when teachers received a theoretical understanding of what EMI is and what is embedded in EMI teaching, it would be great to see how they apply it in the real classroom in their teaching. So the next step is to collaborate together with the content teachers and help him or her to adapt the real materials, the real lesson plan, and attend that session together to provide feedback and provide support. So to have this practical application of EMI pedagogy. And step number 4, it's having a certificate or as professionalization of EMI teachers to give them a sense of achievement, to empower them, and to show that they have learned a lot during all these 3 steps, but also a certificate that would be recognized within university to show all the achievements, all the steps that EMI teacher has done to reach the goal and to show that they are ready to teach through English. And along step 2, 3, and 4, I think it's important to have this opportunity to provide community of practice. Then the teachers can come together, share their experiences, share any challenges, and support each other. So it's important to provide an ongoing support. So looking at this slide, based on my experience of working in EMI and delivering the training, I would start with raising awareness and finishing with certification. But currently at Universidad de Chile, we have step 1, step 2, and EMI community of practice. So I'm looking forward to have an opportunity to implement step 3 and step 4, and let's see what the future brings. And with this note, I would like also to share the EMI booklet. So you also can scan this QR code and learn more about what we do. Also, we developed this booklet again to raise an awareness what EMI is within university, and a short summary of all the initiatives what we do. And again, thank you very much for your attention, and I'm looking forward to your questions and comments at the end of the session about the EMI program.
Julia? Hi, thank you, Julia. I thought my slides were showing, apparently not. That's okay. Basically, what I'd like to do now is obviously thanks Ludmila for her presentation, and I think it's interesting to see how what's been done at the University of Chile, may complement what's been done at the Federal University of Goiás, and where YFG actually develops partnerships with the language department. Then we have University of Chile actually training teachers, contributing to their development as in one way language teachers as well. And something interesting that Ludmila mentioned was the use of CLIL. As you may know, people like David Block, for example, has raised the issue that what we do in countries where English is not spoken, is it really EMI or is it CLIL, and what would be the advantages? So that's something that probably would be useful for us to look more carefully into. And obviously, thank you very much for sharing the link for the workshop and the materials, which I'm sure will be very useful to many of us. So I move on to Natalia, also from the University of Chile. And Natalia Trempino is a lecturer in English language and director of the Gender and Diversity Office at the University of Chile. She's based at the Faculty of Philosophy and Humanities. Her teaching spans ESP, that is English for specific purposes, and EAP, English for academic purposes, also academic listening and writing, and IELTS preparation. There is a strong emphasis on inclusive, student-centered pedagogy. Her academic work focuses on language teaching, EMI and CLIL that we just mentioned, and the integration of gender perspectives in higher education, leading institutional initiatives to advance gender equity and student well-being. Thank you, Natalia. The floor is yours.
Muchísimas gracias, Ana Beatriz. Voy a proceder a compartir pantalla. Y bueno, por supuesto, agradecer la oportunidad de estar acá. Es una fantástica experiencia para poder compartir lo que estamos realizando, en este caso, en la Universidad de Chile. En este caso, lo que yo les voy a comentar y presentar es mi experiencia, que le llamamos una experiencia CLIL EMI, relacionada con la enseñanza de contenidos de historia, históricos, a través del inglés. Es importante mencionar lo que recalcaba mi colega Ludmila en este sentido, que tiene que ver con la preparación que se está entregando al cuerpo académico en la universidad, pero también a los agentes que son obviamente igualmente necesarios e importantes, que son los estudiantes. En este caso sabemos que tenemos nuestros profesores y académicos que están aprendiendo y adquiriendo estas herramientas en enseñanza con EMI, con un enfoque EMI, pero también tenemos a nuestro cuerpo estudiantil incluido en este esfuerzo que se está realizando. Y en este sentido, la pregunta que nos cabe hacer es si nuestros estudiantes, en este caso los estudiantes de la universidad, están preparados para aprender contenido académico en inglés. En este sentido, lo que yo les quería comentar también acá es el escenario que hay en la Universidad de Chile respecto a la enseñanza del inglés. Efectivamente, se ofrecen cursos orientados a aprender inglés como una herramienta, por una parte quizás instrumental, un curso más de inglés general, pero y obviamente que están alineados con el marco europeo de referencia para las lenguas. Pero también tenemos y necesitamos tener cursos que sean orientados específicamente a la disciplina en lo que los estudiantes están enmarcados en sus programas académicos. La meta en este sentido es que los estudiantes sean competentes para discutir, para hablar y desarrollar su disciplina, en este caso en inglés. Y aquí nuevamente está esta pregunta que se hace si es que hay una preparación para esto. También la otra gran interrogante es, y quizás una respuesta que yo puedo entregar al respecto, es que los profesores, el cuerpo académico que hay en la universidad, debiese ser empoderado también para repensar su rol y explorar nuevas trayectorias académicas y de enseñanza. No solo pensando como profesores de inglés en forma general, sino que también cómo podemos orientar esta enseñanza a un enfoque que permita a los estudiantes desarrollarse en un contexto global internacionalizado. Para ello justamente se están realizando todas estas iniciativas que tienen que ver con los cursos EMI, del cual yo participé precisamente en el año 2021, y posteriormente formé con mucha alegría parte del equipo. Ahora soy parte de ese equipo de profesores y por lo tanto justamente mis trayectorias profesionales han ido cambiando. En el caso de la enseñanza del inglés como para propósitos académicos, por ejemplo, sucede mucho que los profesores, cuando son considerados solo como profesores de inglés, son generalmente relegados a un plano secundario. Y eso probablemente es algo que todos hemos experimentado en nuestra carrera. Lo que también nos deja con roles quizás más limitados y las responsabilidades se vuelven poco claras o no muy bien enlazadas con la disciplina, por ejemplo, académica o el programa académico en el que estamos insertos. Y en este sentido se pierden justamente oportunidades para integrarnos y trabajar en forma más colaborativa con profesores, por ejemplo, de contenido disciplinar. Acá le puedo mencionar, por ejemplo, que mi carrera, justamente mi trayectoria profesional ha ido mutando justamente por al momento de ir integrando estos nuevos enfoques y aprendiendo justamente de lo que son las metodologías EMI, CLIL, por ejemplo. Yo comencé personalmente como profesora de inglés general y luego fui quizás un poco orientando mi carrera hacia la fonética, por ejemplo, del inglés, hacia el vocabulario académico, y luego más en forma más especializada en inglés para propósitos académicos o específicos. Y justamente ahora estoy integrando estos enfoques y estas perspectivas más relacionadas con el inglés como medio de instrucción, que también tienen que ver justamente con una perspectiva CLIL, como mencionaba tanto Ludmila como Ana Beatriz. El caso que yo les voy a comentar ahora tiene que ver justamente con el programa de Historia, que es la licenciatura en Historia de nuestra universidad, el cual se desarrolló a través de una cantidad de años que requirió pensar esta situación, lo que estaba pasando, por ejemplo, con estudiantes y con el programa de Historia en general. Ya les había comentado que en nuestra universidad existen estos cursos de inglés instrumental que también tienen propósitos académicos, aprender a escribir en inglés, leer, ¿cierto? Para, en el fondo, en un contexto mayoritariamente académico. Sin embargo, los estudiantes y el programa en general de Historia consideró que necesitaban un curso más orientado a las competencias, a las habilidades que requerían los estudiantes y los futuros profesionales en el área. Por lo tanto, el año 2021 justamente se realizó un esfuerzo conjunto entre el Departamento de Historia y el de Lingüística, al que yo pertenezco, para pensar en un nuevo programa de enseñanza del inglés exclusivamente para estudiantes de historia. Este se implementó el año 2022 y se le llamó Inglés Profesional. Sin embargo, hubo escollos que voy a mencionar a continuación. Los que llevaron justamente estas como inquietudes que surgieron nos llevaron a repensar y a reevaluar el curso. Si nos vamos un poco más hacia atrás en esta cronología, en este timeline, fue el Departamento de Historia que decidió abrir este curso y por supuesto nosotros, yo que formo parte del Departamento de Lingüística, formo parte de este equipo que se conformó junto con otros colegas y para llevar a cabo este proyecto, digamos, se requirió el trabajo colaborativo de los dos departamentos o de los dos cuerpos académicos, tanto de historia como de lingüística. Como les mencionaba anteriormente, esto no estuvo exento de escollos y de problemáticas que fueron surgiendo. Las más importantes que puedo mencionar son que aun cuando el curso se consideró un curso más orientado hacia estudiantes de historia, igualmente seguía siendo un curso de inglés general, lo que nos llevó a la contradicción vital de que justamente el nombre del curso era inglés profesional, aun cuando no estaba entregando estas herramientas que se decían ser muy necesarias. Por lo tanto, reestructuramos el curso. Y en este sentido, al reestructurar, consideramos un eje principal, que es el que creemos necesario, que hay que observar para realizar este tipo de cambios, que es el perfil de egreso de los estudiantes de un programa académico. Aquí yo saqué un pequeño segmento, una pequeña cita del perfil de egreso de la licenciatura en Historia, en el que menciona que los estudiantes de historia deberían ser estudiantes competentes y críticos, individuos críticos en este sentido, que son capaces de discutir fenomenología o problemas históricos y eventos históricos y comunicar sus investigaciones en inglés. Basados en esto, por supuesto, consideramos que había que reestructurar y repensar los objetivos del curso, los que finalmente quedaron en los primeros objetivos, que fue alinear el curso justamente con el perfil de egreso, y por otra parte, alinear el curso no solo con los contenidos necesarios para historia, sino que por supuesto también con algunas habilidades en el manejo de la lengua inglesa. Para ello, llevamos a cabo una matriz. Nuestra matriz, nuestro primer paso, en este caso si nos preguntamos el cómo se realizó esto, fue realizar una pequeña matriz en la que trabajamos en conjunto con los profesores, con los académicos del Departamento de Historia y con la coordinación del programa de Historia, indagando en los contenidos que eran necesarios, contenidos de historia o históricos que eran necesarios para que los estudiantes tuvieran un desarrollo eficiente y profesional posterior en su área de disciplina. En el punto 1 tenemos justamente los temas históricos que ellos van viendo a través de todo el programa, que es un programa de pregrado, es importante mencionarlo, y cuya duración es 4 años. Además de los contenidos de historia propiamente tales, consideramos que era importantísimo también incluir contenidos o competencias más bien académicas, las que llamamos Core Academic Competencies. Y en este caso tienen que ver con el uso de inglés académico, aprender a escribir un ensayo y realizar presentaciones en inglés, de formato académico, por supuesto. Esto, como aparece acá, también fue sugerido y fue conversado con el cuerpo académico de historia, no fue solamente una decisión que fue tomada unilateralmente por el equipo de inglés, digamos. También en el punto 3 incluimos competencias pedagógicas que son sugeridas por el Ministerio de Educación y que tienen que ver con el uso con el desarrollo de ciertas habilidades críticas que también se pueden después traspasar a la enseñanza de la historia, porque muchos de los estudiantes del programa no solo siguen la licenciatura, sino que también posteriormente prosiguen estudios de pedagogía en historia. Entonces también era muy importante, de acuerdo a lo que conversamos y fuimos en reuniones, fuimos indagando con historia, con el programa en sí, con el cuerpo académico, era muy importante también incluir aquello. Por lo tanto, nuestra matriz se transformó en esta malla de 3 temas principales, 3 ejes principales. Los que posteriormente, en el segundo paso, nosotros transformamos con el equipo, en el que me incluyo, por supuesto, con el equipo de profesoras de inglés, lo transformamos en nuestra matriz o nuestro punto número 4, que serían los contenidos y unidades basadas en los 3 primeros puntos que mencioné anteriormente. Para ello, por supuesto, consideramos los contenidos de historia, pero por supuesto que hubo que hacer una selección de los más relevantes, los más importantes, y también que se iban alineando con lo que iban aprendiendo en forma paralela en español con sus profesores de disciplina, además de las habilidades académicas y contenidos gramaticales y léxicos que son propuestos por el Marco Común Europeo de acuerdo al nivel, y también con estas guías, orientaciones del Ministerio de Educación, y finalmente, por supuesto, incluyendo en el fondo como eje central, quizás no implícito, pero sí como parte de la agenda, el perfil de egreso. Esto nos llevó, por supuesto, a la necesidad de crear nuestros propios materiales. Acá yo les voy a comentar que también en el caso de que haya preguntas posteriores, que nosotras creamos estos 4 dossiers que les llamamos para los 4 niveles de inglés, porque por supuesto se dividieron en 4. En este caso tenemos que son 4 dosieres, pero el primer año de pregrado de estos estudiantes, ellos están viendo el nivel 1 y 2 de inglés, mientras que en el segundo año de su carrera están viendo inglés 3 y 4. Como pueden ver acá, hay una división bastante sui generis, si se quiere llamar, de los niveles de proficiencia y de competencia en lengua inglesa de acuerdo al Marco Común Europeo, en el que tenemos, por ejemplo, un A1- y un A1+. Y por otra parte tenemos un B2- y un B2+ para los niveles 3 y 4. Esto obedece primordialmente a que nosotros como universidad tenemos una amplia diversidad de proficiencia en lo que respecta a inglés. Este tema no es solo una realidad a nivel local o a nivel universitario. Acá yo les voy a mostrar lo que sucede con el nivel de inglés en nuestro país y que tiene mucho que ver también, por supuesto, se traslada a lo que sucede en nuestra universidad. La realidad del inglés en nuestro país es justamente que el nivel promedio de proficiencia o de competencia es básico. De hecho, esto se puede observar en la Universidad de Chile, en el que tenemos cohortes muy diversas con un nivel bastante dispar en cuanto a lo que es la competencia en inglés. Tenemos un tercio de universidades, instituciones educacionales privadas en el que el nivel es generales B2. Por otra parte, las instituciones municipales generalmente tienen un nivel B1 y las subvencionadas tienen un nivel A2. Y esto, por supuesto, que se traslada y se ve reflejado en la realidad de la competencia en inglés en nuestra universidad. Esa fue la razón por la que tuvimos que hacer esto, porque hay un nivel bastante diverso. Por lo tanto, era imposible seguir al pie de la letra o seguir los niveles en forma como compartimentos estancos que le llamamos, ¿cierto? De los niveles de proficiencia A1 a la 2. Tenemos que tener estos niveles intermedios. Luego, nuestro paso número 3 fue la creación y adaptación de materiales auténticos. En este caso, yo le estoy comentando y mostrando lo que corresponde al nivel 4 de inglés. Esto, por supuesto, para alinearse con los niveles de proficiencia de nuestros estudiantes. En este caso, lo que se diseñó fue un análisis histórico a través de documentos auténticos en inglés que por supuesto fueron adaptados para poder también insertar ciertos contenidos de vocabulario y gramaticales. Acá, por ejemplo, les puedo mostrar este documento en el que fue adaptado el discurso del primer ministro Chamberlain para ir después, posteriormente, discutiendo, por supuesto, haciendo preguntas que tienen que ver con critical thinking. En el segundo paso les puedo mostrar eso. En este caso analizamos el documento, pues tienen que responder utilizando sus conocimientos, además de la comprensión del texto en sí. Y además también realizamos algunas preguntas que tienen que ver con vocabulario y luego hacemos también la inserción adaptada y gradual, en este caso, de la gramática, que justamente es la que se dio dentro del documento. Ahí también se hacen algunas preguntas analíticas, pero todo en el fondo muy, muy adaptado también a cada nivel y que pueda en el fondo unir tanto el contenido de historia como contenidos necesarios para desarrollarse académicamente en inglés. En este paso número 6 les puedo contar y mostrar que también hay, por supuesto, un producto, hay evaluaciones que se hacen. En este caso, en particular, estoy mostrando una presentación oral que se guía por ciertas guidelines, por supuesto, por ciertas orientaciones, y en la que los estudiantes ponen, en el fondo, en práctica todo lo que fueron adquiriendo, aprendiendo dentro de las clases. Luego tenemos otro tipo de evaluación, porque por supuesto la idea es tener un enfoque integral o integrativo y en que tenemos que los estudiantes puedan justamente escribir, comprender, analizar y por supuesto también ser capaces de presentar los contenidos que se van enseñando o aprendiendo en el nivel. Luego, como para comentarles qué sucede con el impacto de esto, nosotros creemos, bueno, personalmente y a través de todo lo que hemos ido realizando, creemos que sí, efectivamente hay un impacto, que es necesario también quizás repensar la forma en que nos aproximamos a la enseñanza, en este caso integrando los dos ámbitos, los dos aspectos que son tanto el contenido disciplinar como la lengua. Y para esto también realizamos para saber un poco de qué es lo que pasaba con los estudiantes, cómo sentían este cambio quizá, realizamos una pequeña encuesta Aquí les muestro una muestra, les hago una muestra muy breve. En este caso tenemos que estos estudiantes efectivamente sienten, reportan que el curso les ha ayudado a desarrollar habilidades en lectura académica, pero que son específicas para su ámbito, para el ámbito de historia. También tenemos que los estudiantes sí reportan que han mejorado en cuanto a sus presentaciones orales. Y por otra parte, que sienten que en esta escala de Likert que realizamos, no están de acuerdo en este caso. Las últimas unidades informan que ellos están en desacuerdo con que hubiesen aprendido lo mismo en un curso de inglés regular o inglés quizá general, en una institución o en una escuela de idiomas. En el fondo ellos sienten que sí, efectivamente, este tipo de aprendizaje es diferente y es beneficioso. Por supuesto, esta es una muestra muy discreta, muy breve y no da cuenta de toda la realidad, pero como inicio de nuestra necesidad de saber sobre la experiencia y la percepción de los estudiantes, que queremos, por supuesto, seguir realizando este tipo de análisis. Luego, como para finalizar, ¿qué es lo que pasa ahora quizás con las orientaciones futuras, qué es los pasos a seguir al respecto de la enseñanza en este contexto con EMI? Como mencionaba Mila también y yo, creemos que no solamente es necesario, obviamente, quizás realizar este cambio con estudiantes, sino que también necesitamos empoderar y equipar a profesores para que ellos puedan también tener estas herramientas y puedan repensar sus roles dentro de la universidad y dentro de su ámbito, en el que puedan también enseñar contenido en inglés, sin necesariamente ser expertos quizás en la lengua, pero sí teniendo todas estas herramientas metodológicas. Y por otra parte también cuando se desarrollan este tipo de cursos o este tipo de enfoques nuevos, también es muy importante que tanto profesores de inglés como del contenido en sí colaboren en la creación de estos cursos para que obviamente haya un alineamiento y se sienta que los cursos cumplen un objetivo conjunto, un objetivo que está pensado y no son solamente estas instancias separadas de aprendizaje, sino que todo se integra. Por lo tanto, un próximo paso que se sugiere en este caso es que efectivamente los profesores de inglés para propósitos académicos, por ejemplo, dentro de la universidad, efectivamente tienen nuevos caminos, pueden seguir otras instancias y cambiar sus trayectorias profesionales, como les había mencionado anteriormente. Y, por supuesto, analizando nuestro caso en particular, nuestro estudiante, el nivel de proficiencia en inglés sigue siendo, por supuesto, una barrera importante que hay que ir quizás andamiando, reparando también, justamente con estos enfoques que tienen el uso de CLIL, tanto como EMI. Es necesario, yo creo que hay que seguir en forma lógica y progresiva un enfoque CLIL para poder implementar el EMI en forma más efectiva. Y por supuesto también reforzar lo que tiene que ver con el lenguaje y los contenidos que tienen que ver justamente con lo disciplinar. Como futuro paso, como sugerencia y también como un llamado sentido a continuar este trabajo, es importante empoderar no solo a los estudiantes en estas herramientas también, sino que a los profesores con estas habilidades básicas en el uso de herramientas y enfoques y demás. Ahora quisiera agradecer, por supuesto, la oportunidad de poder presentar este caso y quedo muy atenta a las preguntas que puedan tener después de la presentación. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much, Natalia. I also thank you for presenting Spanish. As you are aware, multifari means multilingualism in family, religion, and educational context. So we do have this aim of making sure that there is a space, the same space for all languages as much as we can deal with them. I also take this opportunity to we are trying for the first time to use the subtitles and use 3 languages. Until now, we just use 2 languages in the multi-party seminars. So you're witnessing some glitches that we're taking notes of, and definitely next time we have lessons that we have learned. But thank you very much. And in relation to Natalia's presentation, I think it's really interesting to see if we actually put the 3 presentations together, the fact that students' needs and profile, as well as teachers' needs and profiles, are very important in what is being developed in Chile and Brazil, and then we're going to see the example from Costa Rica as well, what I would call, the global South. And it also reinforces the idea that EMI or internationalization is going to be implemented differently based on the different contexts. There is not a one size fits all, and I think that's probably one very important issue for us to consider, that we do have to come from our own experiences and try to adjust the requirements of internationalization, if I can put it this way. But thank you very much. Let's move on to Randall. And in the next slide, there is the biodata from Randall. So Randall Blanco currently serves as a full-time faculty member at Sede del Sur in the University of Costa Rica. He has expertise in English for specific purposes, that is ESP, and has led university extension projects to provide flexible ESP instruction to residents in rural communities of southern Costa Rica. He is committed to integrating English teaching with disciplinary content. Thus, he has published both on ESP and EMI, and works in curriculum design for English courses at Sede del Sur, Logistics and Integrated Coastal Zone Management. So thank you very much for accepting our invitation. It's a pleasure to have you here. And now over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So it's an honor to be part of this hybrid webinar. And well, we have had three wonderful stories, and I think it's time for me to share ours from Costa Rica. So 2 years ago, I was asked to join a curricular design team in charge of 2 new BA or undergraduate programs here at Universidad de Costa Rica. And as the title of our presentation suggests, we realized that we have reached a crossroads regarding English language teaching and learning at the university level. So how can we expect students from these 2 new careers to graduate with high English proficiency levels, even if we keep teaching and promoting English at the university in the same way that we have been doing it for the last 10 or 20 years? So that's why we have, on the one hand, that we are basically at our university holding on a lot to EFL principles and basically CLT methodologies. That means focusing a lot on language. But while on the other hand, we're making very little progress towards internalization and the use of English as a lingua franca in academia. Of course, we promote internationalization, and students can, travel overseas and, have their masters, get their masters overseas. But in terms of what goes on in the university, we feel that we can move on and do a little bit more on EMI and CLIA. So just a decade ago, some Costa Rican universities started exploring English for specific purposes. But even as of today, we are not implementing EMI or CLIA at all. We are just peering at these 2. So just to offer some background regarding just to briefly contextualize English language teaching at University of Costa Rica, I would like to highlight that the main campus is located in the capital, specifically in the city of San Pedro de Montes de Oca. And the main campus there is Sede Rodrigo Facio. But we have over 10 more campuses or small branches spread all over the country. From the 44,000 students in the entire university, Sede del Sur in Golfito, this is in the southern region, that's where I live and where I teach, we roughly welcome over 700 students. And 90% of these students actually have been granted full scholarships so that they can afford housing and everyday expenses. And this is an important fact because here in the South or in rural areas, you can imagine the students tend to have very low English proficiency levels when they enter the university. So when we were in this team trying to figure out what do we do for these two new careers, so we were asking ourselves and reviewing, well, how are we promoting English teaching and learning at the university? And well, perhaps the most basic solution has been to just offer two compulsory courses in some graduate or undergraduate programs. But these two courses target only the reading skill in English, offering strategies, but while the entire classroom instruction takes place in Spanish. So the main goal is to empower students to read books and publications in English, but that's basically all they get in their undergraduate program. A second line of action that we have is to offer from 2 to 6 compulsory courses ranging from EFL or English for Specific Purposes, ESP or EAP methodologies. But in this case, we are definitely integrating the 4 skills, not just reading. But as we were overviewing or reviewing the options that we have in the university, we realized, of course, that we have this other program, which is the ESP program. This program offers 12 optional courses. So a student who is, or a student willing to improve his or her English skills takes a placement test before enrollment. If the student doesn't know much English, then he or she will start from the A1 level and then move on. But what I would like to highlight here is that the ESP program is just an alternative. These are complementary courses that are not part of the undergraduate programs. And sometimes if students take a course and in the ESP program and they have an issue with their schedule with the undergraduate program, they're more likely to drop the ESP program and focus just on their undergraduate program. Now, another important line of action at the university for the last decade or so, it's PELEX. PELEX is a program with the aim of testing students from all educational levels, tracking their English proficiency over the years. That's from elementary school through high school and even at the university level. But now, let's take a closer look at the ESP program with the alternative or, optional courses. During the second term in 2025, the program is offering over 30 courses, reaching over 1,000 students out of 44,000, which is, of course, perhaps not enough. These are, of course, optional courses, so students take these extra classes every week, besides their regular courses in their undergraduate programs. But again, if they have an issue regarding their schedules and if their classes collide, they will focus again in their undergraduate program and drop the ESP program. Now, but how is this ESP program organized? Well, basically, the entire program is divided into 3 levels and with 4 courses per level. So that's a total of 12 courses, taking roughly 6 years to cover the entire program from the A1 level all the way to the B2 level. So it actually takes longer than the undergraduate program. So what some students do is actually to take the placement test, and then if they reach an A2 level, or let's say a B1 level, then they won't be taking the 12 courses. They may be taking just 6 or perhaps 5 or even 8, depending on their proficiency level. And this is a plus. Of course, they're getting, some extra classes so that they can work on their general English. But again, we have an issue here because even though the program is called or is labeled as ESP, actually the prevailing methodology or teaching methodologies here, it's CLT or EFL, let's say. The only ESP principle implemented in this program is that we are actually, or they are actually grouping students based on the faculty or the careers that they are coming from. So we have students from social sciences together, students from health sciences together, and the same for the other careers, even the engineering fields and so on. So, and from the campuses all over the country. So the classes in the ESP program could be either virtual or face-to-face. But again, it's just extra classes. It's extra workload for our students. All right, now PELEX. I would like to highlight PELEX because what this program has been doing for over a decade is to offer free standardized testing at all educational levels in the country. This is huge because we are trying to monitor and offer valid and reliable data so that stakeholders can actually make informed decisions. But then, interesting enough, the program also offers other alternative services. So, for instance, evaluating professors and certifying their English proficiency. So we have a plus here. And also, well, students from postgraduate programs, or graduate programs, they require they need to take a reading proficiency exam, and then PELEX also takes care of that for free. But now back to the main task that we were assigned 2 years ago, and we wwere wondering, what can we do different while designing English courses for 2 new careers? The careers are integrated coastal zone management and logistics, and the expectations are really high. We expect students to have or to reach a B2 or even a C1 level, and we are still pandering. Is it really fair and feasible to expect low English proficient learners from rural areas to reach a B2 after 4 years of instruction at the university and taking only from 2 to 6 compulsory English courses? How come we expect different results, but then we still keep doing the same thing? We're teaching or promoting English in just 6 isolated courses from the rest of the undergraduate program. Why are we not doing something different besides including few regular EFL or ESP courses? And that's when, of course, we said, let's look for alternatives. And it is very disappointing to admit that at our university, we are overlooking, and even my team had to overlook these 2 options, EMI and CLIA. We have not been discussing or even considering these 2 at our university. So I decided to train myself on EMI and CLIA, and I started looking for a class or a course in Latin America on these approaches. And I remember I reached out to Professor Molina, Mario Molina in Colombia, and he gave me a hint, and bingo, the AMI program at Universidad de Chile. And I am very glad and I'm very thankful to say that my teaching beliefs regarding English language teaching were severely scrutinized. And the work that Lumila and her team, they've been doing there, it's just amazing. It's a wonderful EMI course that clearly serves, let's say, paves the road for EMI and to what she said, to raise awareness over these alternative methodologies that we can implement in undergraduate programs. So there is still too much explore and promote at my university and I think in Latin America. But now back to, let's finish up the story. So this is the program in the undergraduate program, the new program that we will be opening next year on logistics. And just before they have a practicum in their after their fourth year, students what they are getting is just basically 6 courses out of 40 that will be, taught in English. And guess what? We same old, same old. 2 basic EFL courses during the second year, and then 4 more ESP courses during the third and fourth year so that they can work on their English skills. But it is my guess that definitely this is not going to be enough, especially for students from rural areas to actually enter the university and reach high proficiency and become successful in their programs. So just to, and then again, no EMI, no clear courses. So we really need to work harder on implementing this and exploring. And as Ludmila just explained before, to raise awareness, to say, well, we have these options, we need to consider them carefully. So basically, just to oh my God, back to this one. Just to conclude, our experience at UCR Sede del Sur illustrates how national policies and institutional constraints and even local learner realities, they really intersect when embedding English in higher education. Progress toward CLIA and EMI, it's incremental but essential for authentic internationalization and the use of English as a lingua franca in academia, provided we invest in raise awareness and we invest in teacher training, we bridge proficiency gaps and integrate English purposefully into disciplinary learning. Thank you once again for the invitation, and I look forward to further questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Randall. Your presentation has definitely enriched our seminars today. It was really interesting to see all the, I would say, I got like 4 different ways that you deal with teaching English there. But I'd like to highlight the issue that you add to our conversation is another level, isn't it? Because we had like talking about students and lecturers, then we also had this conversation about with you the curriculum. So it's a higher level, so it complements the conversations we've had so far, and how challenging it is to actually change, to adjust the previous curricula to add this extra layer of EMI and internationalization. So that's why I believe that having these exchanges is really useful for us to see what other people are doing and how we can adjust our own context. So thank you very much for that. Also, thank you very much for inviting us to critically think about those issues. And I think it links beautifully to what I'd like to not close, but like have some considerations now. And then after that, we can open the floor to questions and comments by people who are following us live or even among ourselves. So if I could ask Julia to share my slides on slide 3, please. Yes. So that's following. Oh yeah, and I apologize because my subtitles will not show now. But so what I'd like to do is to continue this reflection that Randall has introduced, and also in one way it explains why we've come together today. So I start by sharing this frequently cited quote by Mercado, where he talks about adopt EMI being an unstoppable train. Better, therefore, that we do everything we can to keep it on the rails and allow its passengers to reach their destination safely than try to block its progress. I comment on the next slide that, as most of you know, and as our colleagues have presented, EMI refers to English as a means of instruction, and in other words, it means the use of English, of the English language, to teach content in other subjects, not English itself. So choosing what language we are going to deliver the content in educational settings is part of language in education policy. And that is done in the process of internationalization of higher education institutions, where English actually holds a high status position. So historically, the mobility of international university students has existed since the Middle Ages. And with globalization, this has intensified, and the focus on internationalization, especially from global south countries to global south, to the global north, is what is actually taking place in this present context. So as in the next slide, we are going to see that internationalization has evolved, if I can say that, including other aspects. And there are three main different views or approaches to internationalization. And those are the ones you can see in this slide, and that I'm going to detail a bit more in the next one, please. And so in 1993, we had Knight define internationalization for the first time, and that is the definition that she presents us with: the process of integrating an international and intercultural dimension into the teaching, research, and service functions of universities. So the approach then was one of collaboration. In the next slide, you're going to see the following approach, which started in the 2000s, and it is a new definition was actually developed in 2004, which was actually an update by Knight herself, where she describes it as being the process of integrating an international, intercultural, or global dimension into the purpose, functions, or delivery of post-secondary education. So what it has been highlighted here in the 93 and the 2000 definition is that there is a change on the focus of the internationalization process. The first one looking mainly on individual institutions, and the second one, the focus changes, becomes broader, looking at regional and national interests. So, and this second approach to internationalization is one that was more oriented to the market. So it becomes a process based on competition between institutions of higher education for students, for lecturers, for resources, and for international ranking. But luckily, in parallel to that, and which continues now as in the next slide, we can talk about the equal rights approach. So in reaction to the market-oriented approach, the two other types of internationalization have been developed: internationalization at home and internationalization of the curriculum. Internationalization at home refers to the integration of international and intercultural dimensions into the formal and informal curriculum for all students within domestic learning environments. In other words, it does not involve mobility at all. Internationalization of the curriculum mainly deepens from internationalization at home for being more flexible with regards to mobility. A more recent definition of internationalization, as in the next slide, concerns with the provision of equal opportunities to all students with less focus on mobility and more emphasis on curriculum. And that is reflected in this quotation I share with you that was published by the European Parliament in 2015, where internationalization is presented as being the intentional process of integrating an international, intercultural, or global dimension into the purpose, functions, and delivery of post-secondary education in order to enhance the quality of education and research for all students and staff, and to make a meaningful contribution to society. So Brazilians academics have had concerns about the inequality caused by internationalization and the Englishization as well of universities. So in the next slide, I share with you the concern specifically raised by Clarissa Jordan, where she addresses equal opportunities and adds the need to acknowledge that local characteristics of local practices may become invisible trying to achieve international acknowledgement. In her view, I put everything in Portuguese now. Anyway, I'll try to translation right now. In her view, the internationalization processes are productive only if they are guided by the search for establishing interactive relations with a difference, that is, that have been encouraged by the desire for mutual collaboration and a process of mão dupla, I cannot do it now. A process that, both sides, both partners benefit from it. In addition, in the next slide, we have Jordan again inviting us to reconsider Marcaro's unstoppable train metaphor that I used in the beginning. And she argues that this train is not a train, well, when we talk about unstoppable train, it gives the idea of a train that is going too fast, that has no time to think, no time to consider the landscape, no time to plan, and to plan how to make best use of the fuel. And then there are many chances that it will derail. So considering the Brazilian context, it's important to remember that the universities here are federal universities. They are spaces that have as their bigger mission to reflect, to analyze, and for this reason, we need time. We need time to be involved with all this reflection, and we need to disaccelerate, if I can say that. We have to reduce our speed to be able to deal with this process in a better way. So Marcaro himself actually raises, he acknowledges that there are questions that should be asked by the use of EMI in internationalization of higher education institutions. So he lists here, well, I'll share with you his list of 5 aspects that need to be considered. So the different types of provision, they are adequate to different contexts in different countries. Consider the choice of subjects to be offered by EMI. Does it mean all subjects appropriate for EMI or not? Lecturers' language competence level, that's an issue that has been mentioned in our presentations, and I think especially by Ludmila when she was talking about teacher education, criteria for measuring success in the adoption of EMI, which is the reflection that Randall has been making, implications to teacher education again, and these issues, all of them have also been raised by Natalia and Carla Janaína. So that's why we decided to get together and to address the 4 questions that we did. It's recognizing that EMI in internationalization needs to be considered in relation to our context with in a deeper and in a slower process, so we can better ensure equality for all students and all lecturers. So I think that we had excellent examples today about how different universities and different countries are dealing with it in the global south. And I open the floor for questions and comments if there are some from the chat. If Marie can put it there. The presentation has finished, Julia, thank you. Maybe if you just go to an empty, yeah, I'll tell you a slide later. But maybe if we have, yeah, let's see the comment from Eliane. Eliane is actually, maybe we could have everybody back there. Thank you, Julia, Natalia. So we have a comment here from Eliane Oliveira. Eliane, she's actually an English lecturer at the Federal University of Goiás, and she's saying, all of you and also the course participants from the distinct contexts had both personal and professional reasons to get involved in ESD and EMI. How are your efforts being recognized or supported? So I leave it to you, guest speakers, to deal with it. Oh, where's Carla Janaína? No? Okay. Who'd like, oh, there she is.
Yeah, it takes a while to come back.
Who'd like to answer that? Anybody?
Yeah, I can start it. Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentations. Yeah, I've learned a lot, and we've been sharing so many commonalities, so many things in common. Yeah, regarding this question from Professor Eliane, well, it's sad for me to say that the institution at this moment, yeah, is not giving us any kind of support or recognition. And of course, that I'm mentioning my experience at the statistics field with that subject, English for statistics, right? Well, I wish the institution, yeah, could offer us at least recognition for this work, which is raise awareness, as you have mentioned a lot in your presentations, which is so important, yeah, for the departments, for the university, for the staff, for the students, because in my case, my students are so, they're very smart and they are so motivated to grow, to advance in their career. And they're interested in advancing and going to other scenarios. But they know, they are aware that they need the English language to achieve their goals. Basically, 99% of all their materials are published in English, so they have to at least read to understand and get into, right, their professional area. So they are aware of this necessity, but at the same time, they feel like not motivated enough, yeah, to go ahead because the institution doesn't provide the opportunities such as international exchange programs, yeah, for them to visit other countries, other contexts, and contribute to other countries, other institutions, and at the same time receive here, yeah, in Brazil, professionals from their area. So this kind of connection, yeah, this concrete relationship, yeah, between institutions. So unfortunately, regarding the field of statistics, yeah, the Federal University of Goiás hasn't provided, yeah, the opportunities that we need to strengthen our international partnership, yeah, and that is something that discourage, yeah, students, yeah, and it prevents the staff of the teachers, yeah, from raising that awareness, yeah, that we need and that you have emphasized in your talks. So yeah, it lacks recognition and it lacks support.
I can be next. Regarding being recognized and supported, so I would like to mention the support that they have at Universidad de Chile. So EMI program is supported by 3 departments, and each department provides its own support. One of the departments is EOL, Online Education Department, that offers the teaching platform. So the course is also based on this teaching platform. And this teaching platform is used for online education, for MOOCs as well, within Universidad de Chile and outside Universidad de Chile. We also have support of International Relations Office. So a colleague of mine, Alicia Salamone, she's a director of this office that help us to spread the word about EMI to our faculties. So each faculty at Universidad de Chile, they have an international office. So they help us to promote EMI. And the third department is Department of Postgraduate Studies at the central level, who help us with methodology and with staff. So we have support of those 3 departments at the moment. Recognition. So we are supported by university because also the EMI course that we are delivering is funded by the university. So our participants take this course free of charge. So I think this is one of them very important criteria of support. Regarding recognition within university, I think we still need to work with raising awareness of EMI, what it is, and we still work with a stereotype that teaching through English requires only linguistic proficiency. So if you can speak in English, or you have studied abroad or in an English, worked or studied abroad in English-speaking country, it means you can teach through English. So we need to raise awareness of a concept of a global classroom and what it entails. Need to talk about who international students are and what is international academic culture. So again, we are continuing discussion, we're continuing conversation about this by through implementing short workshops. That the step 1 to explain what it is and what is required to be successful in the EMI classroom, taking consideration both teachers and students. So I can say we have support to have a program, to run the program, but we still need to work on spreading a word and clarifying what EMI is.
Brenda would like to comment?
Yes.
Oh, no, you don't have to. Oh, sorry, Natalia.
Yeah, just a very little like adding to what Ludmila said. Yes, we do have support, but recognition is very crucial. However, in our context, particularly at Universidad de Chile, we have a lot of resistance to this idea of seeing the teaching of content and English in a more integrated manner. Like, for instance, we have in the very linguistics department, we have people who are very much critical of this approach because they are much more focused on proficiency and accuracy and probably near nativeness than just using English as a means of communication in a global scenario. So there is this requires like a change of mindset as to the new opportunities of English, not only as a vehicle for communicating like effectively, but also for communicating with a wider range of people around the world.
Yeah,
so we need to fight. It's like it requires a hard work in trying to spread the word about EMI and its significance in the current world. I mean, yes.
Yeah. That's a good point. Brenda would like to comment or no?
Sure. Well, definitely our efforts, we have support because I was given the chance to take the EMI course there at Chile, and so I was an opportunity. I was told, well, go for it. If you feel that's the way we need to go, we need to get started. And I said, yeah, we need to start exploring these other fields, these other approaches to English language teaching and learning. And I had the support. They told me, yeah, Randall, we are not aware of any EMI or CLIA at the university, but there is this understanding that definitely we need to raise awareness on new solutions or to look for new alternatives, because we cannot keep doing things as usual, because definitely the expectations are extremely high, and to be part of a globalized world, we need to make sure that our universities jump into internationalization and the use of English as a lingua franca in academia. So yeah, we still haven't arranged a program like in Chile, but there is I would say common agreement on a common concern that we need to look for alternatives.
That's a nice start to get support in terms of understanding and trying to probably listen and trying to find solutions together. We have time just for one question that is by Consuelo, as you can see on the screen. So basically, I think this question is for Natalia, that she's asking about the different of levels, A1 minus and A1 plus.
Yes.
Was it in your presentation, Natalia?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you, Consuelo, for the question.
Yes, I agree that learning subject content through English requires linguistic skills, but of course, this is a gradual acquisition of the skills. So that is why we begin with the initial levels. According to the Common European Framework, A1 and A1 plus would be breakthrough or beginner, maybe moving on to a more elementary level of English, which goes on to show that we need to start off from a basis in order to build up these higher linguistic skills that you refer to. So yes, of course, sometimes we feel the impediment of not having that high level of English, but it is true that this can be scaffolded and built up little by little. And this is where we start. We need to cater for students from different levels, and that is why we need to build the foundations, in this case at a more elementary level, so that they are more prepared for the future. And of course, the more they progress, they will be able to pick up the higher order linguistic skills, of course. Yes.
Yeah, if I may complement it, Natalia, I think maybe the question is coming from the fact that the language framework does not have A1 minus or A1 plus. It has A1.
Okay.
And then actually I understand that it is a local decision to break the
Exactly.
level in
Yes.
different groups so you can better cater for the students' needs.
Mm.
So the framework just has A1. And then
Exactly.
your institution actually divides it in 3 different levels so you
Yes.
can better deal with the needs of your own students.
Absolutely.
But I think that, yeah, but
Yes,
thank
it
you
has
very
to be
much.
good.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. So I think, we have to move on for the closing, to the closing. If I could have, I think it's slide 22. Is this a blank one? So we can go to the next one, please. Yes, because now it's the time for thanking people. I obviously need to, I've already thanked, but I thank again all the presenters, all the guest speakers for the time, for the knowledge, for sharing their experience. And for me, it has been a very rich experience being here with you. I also thank the people that are following us live and thank the people that will watch us in the future, that it always happens. But this event, sorry, can you go? Yes, stay there. This event would not have happened without the help of people who stay behind the stage, backstage. So we have Mariana. She's the one dealing with the chat for us today for the first time, helping us live. So thank you so much. We have Julia, who's actually an experienced person in supporting us online. And actually, she knows a lot more than anybody else here. So I'm very, very grateful. They are both students at the English program at the Federal University of Goiás. So thank you very much. We also have other people. So we have Owen, who's actually alumni student. So he finished his course, I think, about a year ago. But again, he's helping us. He will be the one writing your certificates for the ones who signed the attendance list. We have Natasha, who is finishing her course now, and she's the one who was responsible for all the marketing materials. So we are grateful to both of them as well. And obviously, I could not forget Luciano Duarte. Luciano is the IT technician for the letters faculty at the Federal University of Goiás, and he's actually the one who has trained all of us at UFG to be able to transmit live. So, and he's always there when we have some emergency as well. So thank you very much, Luciano. Then if you can move on to the next slide. Basically, I just want to thank you for, again, for being here. There you have the address, the online address for Multiparty if you'd like to follow what we do there. My personal, my professional email, I'm Ana Souza, by the way, I don't think I've introduced myself today. I work at the Faculty of Letters as well. I'm a lecturer there, and also I'm a member of the postgraduate program in Letters and Linguistics at Federal University of Goiás. So thank you very much for your time, for your attention. Please feel free to share the link with other people, write comments, and write to us individually. Thank you very much. See you next time.